You know, today's been pretty hilarious because you know what today is? Today is Valentine's Day, but today is also Ash Wednesday. But then, to make us even more hilarious, get this hair back in my ear. There we go. To make us even more hilarious, you know when Lent ends and Easter begins? April Fool's Day. I know. It's hilarious. And it's beautiful. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. This is DJ MK here for my Valentine's Day special. And today we are going to do a romantic VN known as The Lady's Choice. Now, I've done visual novels on my channel before. There's the playthrough of Iris, which I still need to finish. Rest assured, it will be finished. Excuse me. And then, there's the SC2VN, which is basically which is basically the StarCraft 2 visual novel, which is getting a sequel, by the way, which is called Don't Forget Our Esports Dream. And even I've been thinking about creating my own visual novel, but in the meantime, we've got this. So this is going to be fun. It's going to be entirely my own blunder, and it's going to be my own fun thing. So this is basically takes place around Regency era England, and it's a very fictionalized story, and it's another itch.io visual novel, like Iris and Red String of Fate is also an itch.io property. Itch.io is basically an independent platform for independent creators, and you can actually pay them directly. You can also you might be able to find some of their titles on Steam as well, which is pretty cool. And they do more than just visual novels. Like, they do all kinds of games on there. So definitely check them out, because they have some pretty cool stuff. Anyway, here's a summary of said game with me, with the site giving us the little description. Let me see if I can... I am having a struggle trying to find a window. I'll deal with it later. But anyway, please enjoy the Sierra Madre in the background while I read this description. Never mind. That's okay. I'll figure out something. Anyway, please enjoy it. Enjoy this while I make a very terrible a very horrible Queen's English impersonation. Scandal, gossip, mismatches. What will fuel this season's gossip? And will you be able to keep yourself from being burned by it? As the daughter of a viscount and heiress to a small fortune, you are invited back into society even after years of seclusion on your family's estate. The coming season is to be spent in Bath, your childhood friend having finally convinced you into it, and only the cream of society will be there. But the fickle and difficult dance that is weaving through society can be a tricky thing to remember, especially when they thrive on any small misstep you may take. But which partner is selected to help you guide through the maze of upper classes is always left down to the lady's choice. So this is basically a NaNoRenO visual novel from 2016, and it's set, like I said earlier, it's set in Regency time, so think Jane Austen, and it's supposed to mimic the feel of those kinds of novels, but it's going to be more interactive. And although this is a more historical visual novel, the creator has said that it's not historically accurate. But, I mean, there were things like this in Bath, as well as many other things in society. So I'm excited to play this game with you, and let's see what chaotic things I will do, since I am a very modern woman. Alright, and I also like to flip a table every once in a while. So, hope you enjoy this game. It's going to be pretty fun seeing me blunder. Come on. Okay. So my computer's not letting me open this because it thinks it's unidentified. Hold on. Open it. But yeah, so one of my favorite things I like to do during Valentine's Day is to play a fighting game. So my tradition during Valentine's Day is to play lots of fighting games and stuff, which I know seems like the opposite of what I should be doing in terms of what to do on Valentine's Day, but I play fighting games during Valentine's Day. It's my tradition. It's kind of odd, but I love it. But there we go. Now we got it working. Let's get this game up. Ah, the perfect music. I would have picked this myself if I had pre-planned this episode. But anyway, hope you enjoy the lady's choice. So we're gonna start with a new game here. Let's see what options we have. We have window, full, conditions none, all, after choice, stop or skip, see messages, seen, and all, and auto speed. Let's increase the speed just a touch. Alright, and let us begin the lady's choice. My aunt once told me, a lack of good society will drive the wits from any decent person. I smiled to myself, unsure if I have instead lost my wits for agreeing to return to society. But I could not avoid it for much longer. Arabella's pleas going too incessant to ignore. And as she had always been my closest friend, I just did not have the heart to deny her wishes. It has been many years since I last came to Bath, instead having kept to my own company at my family's estate. Last time I was in society, it was... Considering I'm a modern woman, the probability of it being exciting is very low, so I'd say a disaster. It was a disaster, or I'd rather not relive. I said disaster. Being so young, I did not understand a gentleman's intentions, and had unwillingly gotten myself entangled to him. When Arabella congratulated me on the match, I realized my mistake straight away. I dealt with it by... Okay. So I'm basically writing my character here. So... let's see. Is my stream working? Yes, it is. Okay. How do I deal with this? There's only so many ways you can deal with a disgrace as going to a ball and a man being so disgraceful to you. Let's see. Considering I'm trying to keep my dignity, and also finding that I wasn't the best person, I'd be the type to say, someone better suited. At the next gathering, I introduced him to someone I knew would be much more suitable. By the end of the evening, he had informed me that sadly he could not pursue his engagement with me further. Apologies were made, and I managed to become untangled from the situation with little pain or embarrassment to either party. Though I dealt with it as best I could, the whole affair still managed to spread throughout town. I barely had the chance to walk down the street without hearing the whispers and gossip of those I passed. Arabella had remained by my side throughout, always so loyal in her friendship. With a gentle sigh, I clasped the handkerchief in my hand tighter, writing my thumb over my name, which my mother had embellished onto it with such delicate needlework. Ooh, I got to write my name. I I know, very stereotypical, but my confirmation name is Elizabeth, so I'm gonna put that in. And my surname, you know, I have been thinking about it, actually. I actually been thinking of English, like, pen names, and I've been thinking of using the last name Deverell, so gonna do that. Elizabeth Deverell. You fret unnecessarily, Elizabeth. Arabella lays a hand on my arm and I shift my gaze to her, smiling softly. I believe you enjoy returning far more than you suppose. Her smile turns to one of mischief. In society will enjoy your company far more than may remember. Let us hope so. The road gradually smooths, announcing our arrival into town for the country roads. And I guess I must say, I love Arabella's freckles. It's cute. Oh, not far until you reach the house. I expect Lord Deverell's servants were surprised by the announcement of your staying in Bath. It's been a long time since my father sent word to the town house staff. I hope it's not too much of a bother for them. I pursed my lips at the thought of sudden work they must have had such short notice. I hope it has not been too much bother for them to prepare the house. Arabella gives a light laugh. It is sweet of you to worry on their behalf, but I'm sure a bit of work will do them good. It's been such a long while since anyone from your family has left the country estate. I imagine your talk of your return is the main topic of our conversation. I can't help but stiffen at the thought. Arabella leans to look out the window, a smile lighting her face. Ah, here we are. Okay, Arabella's obviously her best friend, but I wonder, does she have any siblings or anything? Ooh, I like that there's, because the one frustration I've had with some visual novels is that they often take out that first person aspect, so I like that they put it in here. Then again, if you've played other games like Dramatical Murder and stuff, of course you'll be familiar with this stuff. I stare at the house, the last time I laid eyes on it being so long ago. You know, this screams Jane Austen, because she had a house exactly like this one in her lifetime. If you don't know about this, look up a documentary about Jane Austen by Lucy Worsley, and fast forward to a section where they live in Bath for a few years. Exactly the same house. It is ridiculous. Anyway, I stared at the house the last time I laid eyes upon it being so long ago. And you know, unashamed English major here. It has changed little. Shall we go in, Elizabeth? I cannot very well proceed before you in your own house. She gives a chuckle and a smile in return, before eventually making my way inside. As soon as we step inside, a somewhat familiar face steps into the foyer to greet us. Welcome home, Miss Deverell. Johnson, our butler, has aged considerably since I last saw him. The once stout brunette man now turned slightly hunched gentleman with far more wrinkles than hair. I give a small smile of greeting. Hello, Johnson. It has been too long. Indeed it has. And this must be Miss Highsmith. It is Lady Ashburn now. His brows curved in surprise. I quite forgot about your marriage. I apologize, Lady Ashburn. She raised away his apology. Do not turn so stuffy, Johnson. I'm still the same girl as I always was, if someone more grown now. As I can see. I'm thinking, like, he has, like, Carson's voice from, like, Downton Abbey. I don't know if I can mimic that too well, but I'll try. He states with a wry smile. You're not staying with Sir Ashbourne. He passed away the year before last. When her voice trembles, I reach out to rest my hand on hers. I offer a small smile, and her pain dissipates. Yeah, I would be the type of person who would comfort a person in despair. If only a little. You will wish to attend to your rooms before tea? Yes, thank you. He gives a small nod, and we begin to shrug out of our coats and hats. So I'm assuming that maybe she's a little bit wealthier than Jane Austen, obviously because her father has a title, and this certainly looks a lot more elaborate than what she stated in Bath. But Bath, then again, it's kind of like LA and New York, where it's basically like the hub for all these expensive socialites to gather around and possibly make some business. And by business, I mean marriage agreements. After settling ourselves and luggage into our rooms, we meet again for tea in the drawing room. I hope tonight's ball will be busy. I love her dress! I want that! Okay, whoever created this game, I'll put the name up in the description in YouTube, but my goodness, the dresses in here are gorgeous, but especially the bottom one with what Elizabeth's wearing. I love it. A ball already? You really have forgotten society, haven't you? The ball tonight will open the season. She takes a sip of tea, staring at me over the brim of her teacup. Everyone will be in attendance. Including us. Including us? Her lips curve into a secretive smile, and I frown slightly in curiosity. Why are you smiling so, Arabella? The question was obviously just the prompt she needed. She places down her cup so excitedly it rattles against the saucer. I believe I may soon be engaged. I may be soon engaged. Engaged? My family had been in talks with another about a suitable partner. Is that why you were so insistent I join you this year? I did not want to enter into all this alone, I admit. And you were there for me in my last marriage, and when no one else was. Your advice in this is the only one I would care for. I understand. Aww. I'm glad, especially the fact that, like, for Elizabeth, her relationship was disastrous, and then Arabella, she only lasted for, like, a really short time, maybe about a year. So the fact that they're both willing to try again, or at least Arabella's willing to try again. Dang, Arabella. I guess the equivalent of a gangster. But the fact that they're both willing to try again is wonderful. Okay, 1 second. I'm planning my Black Panther outfit. So, because I'm going to the premiere tomorrow. But anyway, so I'm glad like these two got to try again, at bare minimum, because these things were very, very life or death kind of things, especially when it comes to finances. So, excuse me. So, who is he? She shifts back in the seat, picking up her cup once again. I cannot tell you yet, as much as I may wish. I didn't want to talk of it without more certainty of the situation. So, it is not settled. She shakes her head, and then gives a small smile. But I have hopes it will soon be. It soon will be. I took a gulp of tea, unsure how to respond. Darn, my water bottle's all the way in the back. But, Not once had Arabella seen Keeman remarrying, having inherited both title and wealth from her former husband. I glance at her, studying the smile on her face. It seems genuine. I did not know you were in the market for someone new. You do not need a husband to secure your place in society any longer, Arabella. Of course, I do not need a husband. But that does not mean I do not wish for someone to share my life with. I give a nod of understanding. Of course she's lonely. I mean, she's got Elizabeth, though. Come on. Maybe you also need someone of your liking tonight, Elizabeth. Society has much changed since the last time you were here. I look at her, and surely my nerves are already on the edge about tonight's ball. That evening, We arrived at the already bustling assembly rooms for the opening ball of the season. Oh, how wonderful! So many here already! I nod in agreement. There certainly are so many. The assembly rooms are large, but seem positively tiny when packed with so many people, which is very typical of Regency era ballrooms. It's very, people often imagine that these balls tend to be huge, but oftentimes it tends to be, more like assembly halls, almost like, if you go to a local church or something, or in a college where they have, those gathering spaces. It's about that size, and it can be packed with tons of people. And oftentimes, it tends to be very familiar faces you come across in these balls. It's nobody really new, unless you go to bustling places like Bath, for example. The heat is stifling, and I do my best to stand in the way of the doors, hoping for the coolness of a draft. There's Lady Steer. Arabella points through the crowd, but I cannot pick one person out from the mass. I must ask how she's been. I shall return in but a moment. Before I could protest, she swallowed up by the crowd, and I'm left standing alone at the edge of the room. Excuse me. I turned around to see a young woman smiling at me. Sorry, I couldn't do that. Let me see. Let me go back and redo that line. Excuse me. There we go. Excuse me. I turned around to see a young woman smiling at me. I realize we have not yet been introduced, but I started speaking to Lady Ashburn and simply had to know you. She reminds me so much of... What's her name? Georgiana from Pride and Prejudice. The Keira Knightley adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. She reminds me so much of her. I'm Miss Clara Witter. She bobs a small curtsy. I like somebody who speaks her mind. This is quite a bold introduction, Miss Witter, and I'm pleased for it. I drop into a small curtsy myself. I'm Miss Elizabeth Deverell. Deverell? You're Miss Deverell? Mother has spoken of your return. Have you truly not been to town in so long? I stared at the abruptness of the question. Miss Witter obviously looks a lot... Miss Witter obviously a lot younger than her looks would suggest. It has been quite some time, yes. Then it must simply be desperate for enjoyment. How dull must have been in the country. I barely have time to open my mouth to respond before she speaks again. She's one of these characters. Come, we must dance. A partner waiting for me, but we shall find you someone too. She takes my head... That's a face I would have too if I had something like that. She takes my hand and tugs me to one side. I'm sorry. That's exactly my reaction I would have if I went through something like that. Oh, Mr. Amesbury! I glance up to search out the person she is called. Mr. Amesbury! She raises her voice to be heard over the din of people. I finally managed to free my fingers from her excited grasp. Can I help you, Miss Witter? A rather jovial voice asks in the sea of people. Let me try that again. Can I help you, Miss Witter? I glance up to meet the eyes with the handsome youthful face. Paired with thick locks of blonde curls. Oh boy, here we go. Lawrence, this is Miss Elizabeth Deverell, and she's without a partner for this dance. I can't help my cheeks heating at the forward nature of the young woman. Wow, I don't know if you're blushing at the woman in the situation, but hey. I kind of like her! Anyway. I apologize. I'll be most happy to rectify the situation, Miss Deverell. Before I could speak my apology, Mr. Amesbury holds out a hand towards me. Do I? Don't I? This calls for a save. Alright, your turn. Shall we dance? Thank you, Mr. Ainsbury. He gives me a wide smile as I place my hand gently into his and make our way towards where the other partners are lining up for the dance. When the music begins, the line of ladies take a wide step forward. Ooh, I've heard this song a lot in like the Nostalgia Critics reviews. Oops. Oops. Sorry, my text notifications. Let me put Do Not Disturb on it. But oh my god, I've heard this music several times in Nostalgia Critics reviews. A little bit of throwback. When the music begins, the line of ladies take a wide step forward, the men doing the same to meet in the middle. Okay, let me get to this dance. Sorry. I'm still planning out my outfit for tomorrow. I'm watching Black Panther tomorrow, so whoop whoop, Wakanda forever. Anyway. I take Mr. Amesbury's hand again, and we walk in unison down the middle of the room. Are you two going to talk while you're doing this? Because it will really Pride and Prejudice if you do. You should not be offended by Miss Witter's forward manners, Miss Deverell. Her parents have rather indulged her, and she has little worry of upsetting the rules. So I could tell. If only more were of her disposition, wouldn't you agree? We part for a moment, taking a turn about another set of partners before meeting once again. Oh, this is tricky because this could go so many ways. Because on the one hand, she could be cynical because the last one didn't go so well, but on the other hand, though, it's refreshing. I smile in response to his statement. A welcome introduction to anyone willing to do as they wish, despite the rules, because I'm an intellectual woman. I love speaking my mind. An idea not readily shared by most. We step closer together. But what at least you could be sure I agree with. We part and change partners for a few beats. In return, he takes my hand and leads me around the outside of the floor around the other partners. Wait, did I ship myself with Amesbury before I even got to anybody else? Dang, I gotta read more visual novels. I might have put in my stock in Amesbury without knowing him first. My gosh. Then again, what if I end up being a spinster? I hear you have been out of society for quite some time. I give a small nod. Then we are in similar situations, as I too have not been required to return to town for a few years. And yet you return now. I have had little choice. His frown turns to a joking smile. You know how family could be about securing their lineage. I smile in understanding. Actually, I have been most lucky in that my family never pushed me to pursue marriage. We draw together once more, the music fading slowly. Then consider yourself incredibly fortunate, Miss Deverell. He offers a smile before bending at the waist in a low bow. It has been a pleasure. And with that, he lets my hand drop before disappearing into the crowds. Thankfully, I'm not left alone long, as Arabella finds me soon after. Elizabeth! You must make haste and come this way. What has happened? Some military officers are being stationed in Bath for a few days, and have come for introductions tonight. Are we getting a Mr. Wickham equivalent? I wonder. They're simply so dashing, I've almost fainted where I stood. And what if you're betrothed? He's not my betrothed yet. I would have blushed from her words that I had not grown used to them years ago. She leads me to one side of the room, where a swarthy young women have taken up. Arabella pays them little mind as she squeezes through them with a practiced elegance. Finally, we come to a stop before a tall, uniformed man. Hello! hard not to find the sight rather pleasing. You're not wrong! Colonel Foxley! At the sound of her voice, the man's face lights into a bright smile. Lady Ashburn? I'll be most pleased to introduce you to my closest friend, Miss Elizabeth Deverell. He dips into a bow, and I drop into a small curtsy. It's most delightful to meet you, Lady Ash. Please, Colonel, Arabella would do just fine. But, Lady Ashburn, it is only a name, Colonel. Are you sure it's not a thing between these two? He's blushing! He's blushing! There is something between. I'm not be surprised if he. I'll be not to be surprised. But then again, she did say, I don't know. I don't know anymore. The Colonel clears his throat before continuing with what he was saying. Arabella's been most kind in helping us find our way around. I'm certain it's a task she would take very much to heart. The music ends in the next dance, and Arabella suddenly brightens. Oh, Colonel, did you not promise me the next dance? Indeed I did. Arabella moves forward to slip her arm into his. But what of Miss Deverell? Oh, please stop missing on the dance on account of me. I'm most happy to observe. I would not dream of such. He turns around and scans the room before smiling and tapping at the uniformed man on the shoulder. The man steps closer. Ooh, okay, here we go. The stiff posture and countenance enough to make me uneasy myself. Miss Deverell, I present Captain Guy Blake as a suitable enough partner for this dance. Foxley, this is not. Oh, come on now, Guy. Come now, Guy. You cannot be upset by the partner, can you? Captain Blake turns his gaze away uneasily. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's see what he says next, though. It's not a question of that. And of course, Elizabeth will have no upset on taking such a fine officer. Without saying a word more, the two moved to the dance floor. If you would care to, Miss Deverell, I would reserve this dance for you. His words and manner are both unsettled, his gaze shifting momentarily to check on Colonel Foxley. Considering how much of an emotional mess he's become, I will spare him the pain. I believe it would be preferable to sit this one out, Captain. He drops... I knew it! He drops his hand to his side and lets out a small sigh of relief. As you wish. Because I knew he did not want to do it with me. He did not want to dance with me. At all. It was clear. We stand together to watch the others take to the floor and begin their dance. The longer we stand together, the more tense the captain seems to grow. It's not long before I notice what a look of what can only see is disdain curl the corner of his lips. You dislike the dancing or the crowds, Captain? His brows arch in surprise at my question. He looks at me. The crowds are not what I am accustomed to, or what I should ever want to become accustomed to. Surely you've been to such society many times before. My attendance here is due to my rank, Miss Deverell, not my birth. Oh. Unsure of his meaning and a little hesitant to ask more on it, I simply let the conversation dwindle. Our Mr. Wickham, ladies and gentlemen! But I hope you do not take offense from my statement. Okay, so, on one hand, I could see why he's like. I'm not personally offended. On the other hand, though, that's kind of judgmental. Considering that, hey, I'm a high rank. I actually sympathize with your cause of not taking a dance with you, and you assume everybody's here just because of titles, which he's not wrong. But on the other hand, though, you shouldn't judge everybody. You should not judge simply because of the rank in society, Captain. As I said, I meant no offense. There was none taken by me, but... Okay, yeah, that pretty much is what I would say. There was none taken by me, but still, your statement was unjust. I am sure someone like you would never make such a statement. Someone like me? I apologize once again. I'm used to speaking with anyone but soldiers. I let out a sigh. That is understandable. He gives a nod of gratitude and we turn back to watch the dancing. When the dancing is over, Arabella and the Colonel rejoin us. You should have danced, Guy. Miss Deverell did not care for it. It is true, though the captain was very gracious to offer. I glanced at the captain to find him smiling at me in gratitude. Well, I enjoyed the exercise. It was indeed a most enjoyable distraction. After bowing, the captain and the colonel had to leave us to rejoin their fellow officers. I most regret not bringing a fan, for I suddenly feel quite flushed. Arabella! I cannot help how my body reacts to such a man, Elizabeth. I do not believe any woman could. We left quietly before I noticed the crowds around us have parted. Oh, it is Lady Thomasina Huntington! Who is Lady Huntington? Really, Elizabeth? Have you had no interest in society at all in these years? Never mind. Before Arabella had a chance to inform me of why the woman approaching us caused the crowds to tremble like scared mice, Lady Huntington stops before us. We drop an... Oh, snap. Lady Grantham, ladies and gentlemen! We drop into short curtsies, though the woman does not return one. Lady Ashburn is your good friend, I assume. Lady Huntington, may I present Miss Elizabeth Deverell. The woman glances over me with a close glare. One can only believe it's been mastered over expecting many of young women. And finished, she snaps her fan shut and gives a small nod of satisfaction. You've been out of good society for so long, Miss Deverell. You must be thankful your parents let you return. Though she did not speak it as a question, I still cannot stifle the urge to make a reply. Oh gosh, just for her, she seems old school. So if I don't say anything, if I don't say anything, it'll be safe. At least that's what my thinking is. So think better of it. I'll give you a nod of acceptance instead. As much as I may wish to speak back to the woman, I know it is not what I should do. Instead, I bow my head and give a sweet smile, when I know even she cannot find fault with. I see you've forgotten the ways of refined company. She takes a step closer and I struggle to keep my balance against her imposing force. No, duh! Her face, it's like a warrior face, essentially. Like, authoritative warrior face. Such acceptance back into society will surely grant you a good match. Even with your... She inspects me closely once again. Years more experience over the other ladies. She drops into the smallest of curtsies. Good evening to you, Lady Ashburn. Miss Deverell, I do hope you enjoyed the ball. And with those words and... Oh! Oh my gosh! And her insult to my age, she sweeps away into the crowds. Are you quite alright, Elizabeth? I give a small nod, which is not going to deter Arabella's concerns, but is enough to calm her a little. Lady Huntington is the gatekeeper in which all in society was pleased to secure a good future. I was negligent not to warn you of her. I don't blame her, though. I mean, she didn't have enough time to tell her. At least if she wished she could have gotten. I wish she could have gotten them. But her face, though, like I knew she was gonna say something. Her sad expression was the only beacon of warning I needed. Arabella gives a small laugh, her worry vanishing. Did the Colonel not ask for the next dance with you, Arabella? Oh, I almost quite forgot. almost forgot. Well, I could never altogether forget any invitation from that man. I shook my head slightly at her words. But what of you? Go enjoy the company of your officer, Arabella. She doesn't need much more convincing than that before giving a broad smile and setting off to find her uniformed partner. As the partners begin to move to the dance floor, I shuffle to one side out of the way. I went to bang right into someone beside me. Oh, I apologize. I glanced up quite a way to meet eyes of this tall, well-held gentleman. Okay, whoever is the artist of these models needs a commission. I love this. I believe I should be the one to make such an apology, miss. He glances to the side and then returns his gaze to me. How about I make such a calamity on my part with the dance? He offers his hand towards me. I can assure you that I'm not anywhere near as clumsy when on the dance floor. But we are not yet introduced. You and I know that fact, but I believe the rest of the room does not. He offers his hand again. Would you care to take a chance in such a scandal? His teasing makes me hesitate. I'm up for an adventure. Let's do this. I push down my uncertainty and place my hand into his. His handsome face brightens into a wide smile as he leads me to the floor, where we stand opposite each other and wait the music. Standing in the line with the other women, I cannot help but notice the narrow glances and curious whispers that passed amongst the crowd. Uh-oh. All thrown in the direction of my unknown dance partner. I am most glad you decided to take such a risk. I do not usually get to dance much anymore. Has that anything to do with the way everyone glances at you? His brows arch, obviously surprised by my bold question. You are quite astute. He takes my hand and I walk beneath his arm before we turn to face each other. I will speak plainly then. We spin around another couple before joining together again. I did not introduce myself to you as I could tell you obviously did not know of me. It is a rare and precious thing to enjoy not being judged before even being acquainted. I should not presume to judge you without first meeting you, no matter what I may have been told already. What a delightful perspective you have. Though I do not believe it is the nature of anyone not to judge when told of such follies. Okay, I'm curious. What went down with them? Okay. So, whatever the rumors may be, they are true. He doesn't reply to my question, only gives me a smile. Okay, this is getting weird. Music begins to fade and we draw together at the end of the dance. He politely leads me to the crowd inside the room and gives a deep bow. It has been a most pleasant time, and all without introductions. And confess that made it all the sweeter. Please excuse me. With a final nod of his head, he moves away, and I watch as his broad frame disappears into the crowds. It's weird, but it's kind of fascinating. Elizabeth! What could have possessed you to dance with him? I spin around in shock of Arabella's outburst. What on earth do you mean? Lord Stanton, of course! Who is... You are not even introduced? I clasp her hands trying to calm down her Xerxes fears as she may faint from shock. You truly danced with such a man but without knowing him. I'm sure there have been worse things done, Arabella. You would not say such things if you knew of him. She sidles closer to whisper to me. That is Viscount Stanton of Braxbury, Lord Isaac Stanton. She turns to gauge my expression, and seeing no sign of recognition, she continues. His family's name was once well respected until his father took up an affair with a local gambling house. It would appear that passion runs in the family. There's apparently no fortune left. His presence in these events is purely due to his lineage, nothing more. You should be more careful in the future associating with such company. I glanced to the crowd where the man disappeared, suddenly understanding our conversation due to dance a little more. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Oh, boy. This could be one of two things. Either this thing runs in the family, he's paying for the sins of the father, and that's kind of cursed his way in these societies, or just Regency era is just judgmental as sin. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, a few hours later and the crowds begin to disperse. I'm more than happy to return home into the comfort of my bed, my body and mind fatigued from the evening. The next morning, I find Arabella in the drawing room after breakfast, eagerly tearing open a pile of letters. I would not be surprised if one of them was from Colonel Foxley, whatever his name is. It's Foxley, I think it is. But anyway, so many letters already. I gave a small laugh as I take the seat opposite her. She glances up, a serious expression on her features. This is no laughing matter, Elizabeth. These are invites. It is today we make our most important decision of the season. And what will that be? Whose company we'll be spending the season with, of course. It would be impossible to split our time between everyone in town. So we decide who will receive our interests. I see. She gives a bright smile and leans closer to me, placing her hands on my knees. Seeing it is your first year back, why do you not choose the engagement? Are you certain? I would have it no other way. She leans back and spreads out 3 letters in front of me. Each invite is elegantly written and well presented. Arabella points to the first one. This is an invite to an afternoon tea later today. Though I believe Lord Stanton will be in attendance to this one, so maybe it will be wiser to avoid it. The warrior interface disappears in favor of a grin. She gestures to the next letter. This is a letter to the dinner party this evening hosted by Lady Huntington in honor of the military being in town. Colonel Foxley would be there, along with that captain friend of his. Captain Blake? Yes, him. She touches the final invite. This is to a picnic hosted by the Kitterings. She paused a little in thought. They're not the most known family, though they do always bring the most delightful spread of food, so the event is quite popular. A few families always attend. The Fishers, the Sterlings, the Ainsburys, if they're of town, with Mr. Ainsbury. She gives a nod. Yes, I believe it's only the son in town this year, is it not? She waves away the thought of dismissal before I could respond, and spreads the letters out further on the table. So, which would you like to attend? Lord Stanton is a really fascinating character. Captain Blake is also interesting, and we have very Pride and Prejudice-y story. And yet, I think Mr. Ainsbury left a pretty nice impression. He was sweet. He willingly danced with me. He really loves an open person. I think it'll lean towards the picnic. So, Mr. Ainsbury it is. I think the picnic sounds wonderful. And you would be correct. I went the year before last and enjoyed every moment. And plus, I love picnics. I haven't been to a picnic in a while. It would be awesome to make one. Well, it seems I made a good first choice this season. She gives a gentle laugh, leaning forward to rest a comforting hand on my leg. Do not worry so, Elizabeth. You shall do wonderfully. I hope so. And even if you should not, I shall be right beside you no matter the outcome. I hope so! I hope so! Anyway. I give a smile of gratitude, glad to have such a friend to get me through whatever is to come. That afternoon, we don our coats and hats and head towards the park where the picnic is being held. At least the weather held for this event. After greeting our hosts, Arabella quickly shuffles me over to one of the quieter areas. People have gathered in groups, chattering away and casting glances over anyone nearby in barely concealed inspection. I'm not spared their looks, most of the crowd obviously uncertain of my identity. I guess, smile and bow head. Just pass along, be cheerful, move it right along, do-do-do-do-do-do. I merely smile and tip my head in their direction. There was no harm in giving a good impression, even if they do not yet know who I am. Arabella had managed to find a spot on the picnic blanket, and is just about to sit when a slightly familiar voice calls to us. Lady Ashburn? We both glanced to one side to see the source of the cheerful call. Ah! Oh my god. He's gonna be everywhere, isn't he? Arabella is surprised quickly flashes into a bright smile. Why, Colonel Foxley! I did not expect to see you here. I heard a word that the military was to leave Bath. That is correct, though some of the officers are remain behind. We were lacking in good society for too long. He gives a laugh that resonates around us. So, will you be staying the whole season? I cannot help but smile further at the woman's barely contained enthusiasm. I think she and Colonel Foxley are going to be a thing now. They're a thing. Let's face it. Come on. Indeed I shall be. That is most wonderful to hear, Colonel. His gaze fixed me, as though only now realizing I'm there too. I know that feeling, Elizabeth. I know the feeling of being a third wheel. It's okay. It's okay. Ah, Miss Deverell, was it? He's blushing?! What the... I give a nod, and he gives a small bow. How lucky am I to have stumbled upon you both. The company of my fellow officers feels stale compared to yours. Then, I hope you will join us. She gestures to the picnic basket. Why am I saying basket? Blanket! Wow! She gestures to the picnic blanket, barely big enough to seat 2 people. I would not wish to intrude, Lady Ashburn. He's blushing again. Yo! I think at the end of this, regardless of how my Regency self affairs is, there's gonna be wedding bells between these two. Wedding bells. I'm telling you. Nonsense. Yep, there's wedding bells between these two. Come on. It's so obvious. She steps closer, lacing her arm into his. And did I not tell you to call me Arabella? Oh my gosh! His blush deepens and I shake my head at the pair as we sit and attempt to share the small blanket. After a couple hours of lively conversation, I begin to find myself half forgotten by the trans pair. Again, I don't blame you! I don't blame you, Elizabeth. I wish I were there so that way we could be friends. Like, I would relate to you in every step of the way. I would talk with you, have a cup of tea, maybe share some book recommendations. I feel you. I feel you. Third wheel sisters for life. Anyway. Given an excuse to needing to stretch my legs, I leave Arabella and the colonels with as much privacy as they can manage amongst so many others mingling in the park. I head slightly away from the hustle and bustle of the picnic, finding a quiet area where birdsong can be heard. That sounds nice. That's really nice. The gentle peace of it tempts me further away from the picnic, and I only come to a halt when I find someone blocking the bridge ahead. He has his back to me and seems too distracted but staring at the waters of the pond below to notice I'm there. I'm assuming he's at the picnic party, as he's without his coat and hat. Let's be friendly here. I take a step closer, though he still doesn't notice me. Were you also looking for an escape from the picnic? The man's head flicks around. Ainsbury, yes! I made the right choice. The man's head flicks around to face me as I speak, and my eyes widen with recognition. Yes! Mr. Amesbury! Miss Deverell. We stand for a moment in surprised silence before he gives a chuckle. I apologize. I did not mean to act as a barricade across the bridge. You certainly seemed quite lost to your thoughts. Yes, well, these kinds of gatherings tend to bring up certain topics I have long avoided. He smiles and I step closer towards him in the bridge. And what topics would those be? Oh, the usual conversations. Relations I've not seen since childhood, my sister's vastly superior accomplishments, my lack of regard for society. He glances at me to gauge reaction to his overly honest statements, so I keep a smile settled on my expression. Have you also been bombarded by the same talk? Hold on. Black Panther discussion. Anyway, have I been also bombarded by the same talk? I'm being bombarded by outfit talk. Which is something I am not used to, let me tell you. But anyway. It seems I was much luckier than you and company at this event, Mr. Amesbury. Yet, still, here you are, arrayed from the crowds. Maybe instead of you feared being interrogated on, according to my elders, the only topic worth mentioning. This time I do purse my lips in confusion. What do you mean? The disastrous engagement I had in the past, or Lord Gambler? Marriage. Of course. His tone of voice dulls and I notice his shoulders shrug in a silent sigh. Marriage is not of interest to you. His brow quirks into an arch where his lips thin in thought. I wouldn't say that. He shifts around to rest against the stone railing of the bridge. I'm just not interested in having my future partner picked out for me based on title or wealth. I do not wish to marry for convenience, but for love. For passion. My hope for this life is to meet someone and have an instant... His brow arches in thought, and I could see he's searching for a word to fit the end of his sentence. Connection? An instant connection. It makes sense. He spins to face me, his face lighting into a bright smile. You're much better wordsmith than I, Miss Deverell. But yes, that is exactly it. How fortuitous that we should have had the same thought. I would dare say we have had a connection of minds, have we not? His gaze holds mine, his deep brown eyes much more amber in color than I realized before. I turn to... Ladies and gentlemen, our ship has officially sailed. My work here as Emma is done. I turned away slightly as the heat settled on my cheeks from the continued gaze. You are a romantic, Mr. Amesbury. I am thankful for the cool breeze which helps settle my blush. I don't think I blush. I don't think so. I would like to believe so, yes, but this world has no place for romantics. The smile fades, his lips tightening and his brow furrowing. My father has pressed upon me the need to settle. If I didn't find a wife by my own means this season, then he already has chosen one for me. Can you not just refuse? He offers me a small smile, though it seems sad. You're lucky to even be able to hatch a thought, Miss Deverell. I envy the family you must have. Should I refuse, my father would disinherit me. Oh, man, that's cruel. His smile and laugh returns, and I admit freely that I do not wish that at all. I cannot help but avert my gaze at his words. I've never known anyone, save for Arabella, who had treasured as a sister for years, talk so openly of their private affairs before. Mr. Ainsbury seems to notice my uncertainty, a teasing smile playing at the corner of his full lips. Have I shocked you with my intrigues, Mr. Devereux? Actually, I'm happy that he's honest with me. I'm only pleased that you could feel you could speak to me so openly, especially as you do not know me. Then, I hope that we'll come to know each other well so as we can speak more often. He steps closer and offers me his arm. Ah, here we go. I agree. I curl my hand around his arm, and it gives a bright smile before he head back towards the picnic. Heading back to the park, a piece of the bridge is quickly broken by the chatter of the large picnic party. As soon as we're surrounded by people, I feel Ainsbury tense beside me. Uh-oh. I do despise what society's rules do to people. You've not yet spoken to anyone. How can you use such a dislike? I'm versed enough in the practice. And yet you are here in town participating with everyone. I did not come for the society of these people. I was supposed to be joining this year by my good friend, but he was held back in the country. My friend is the reason I am here this year as well. She hoped it would help her through a possible engagement. Ah yes, I saw you both arrive. He cranes his head slightly, spying Arabella through the crowd. For an arranged engagement, I must say you look happy enough. I knew it! I knew it! I knew it! I cannot help but stifle a laugh as the glance of the man he mentioned. That is in fact Colonel Foxley, not her intended. Really? He leans closer and hushes his voice. Well, I certainly feel for her betrothed. Seems like he doesn't have much chance against his colonel in her eyes. We both laugh, though I also give a nod of agreement. Arabella and the colonel certainly look close, enough to give the suggestion of intentions towards each other, even if they might not realize it. Yeah, wedding bells are guaranteed for these two. Arabella and the colonel, I mean. Mr. Ainsbury gazes down at me, a smile once more on his lips as he examines my face. I must say, Miss Devereux, if I'm to suffer through the season this year, I'm most glad to have found a potential ally in you. I think I want to be a certain one. Not a potential ally, Mr. Ainsbury. A certain one. Your assuredness puts all my other friends to shame. The laughter envelops once again, until the sound settles and I am suddenly uncertain if it is his gaze or the heat of the sun that's making my breath catch. As I dare to meet his eye, I am hit with the realization that I am most pleased to have stumbled upon Mr. Ainsbury when I did. Whoa. Both of us suddenly flinch at the sound of glass crashing, our focus landing on a heated scene before us. Oh boy, what's happening? Lord Steer, a plump man with a red face, is baring his teeth at Mr. Randall. Blackjack Randall? And I guess then it makes total sense. Who was himself looking just as crimson with fury. That cane belongs to me, sir. How dare you? Do you know just who you are throwing such accusations at? A pompous prig who feels the company was better, that's who. Oh my! You'll regret even thinking such slurs. The insults nearly can't soon come to blows, with Mr. Randall raising the offending cane like a sword, though luckily the surrounding servants step in before anything more than cutting words can be dealt. What on earth could that have been about? I glance to my side to see Arabella and the colonel approaching. Arabella smiles at me as they come to a stop, her gaze falling to the hand I still have curled into Mr. Amesbury's arm. I do not believe I've had the pleasure. Oh, of course, I do apologize. I step away from Mr. Ainsbury, noticing his disappointed frown as my arm falls from his. Mr. Ainsbury, may I introduce my dear friend, Lady Arabella Ashburn? She dips into the small curtsy and he bows in return. This is Colonel Foxley. I believe we already have an acquaintance. We grew up in the same country as children. Ernest Foxley! The two men laugh, and Ainsbury steps forward, claps Foxley's arm in a genial greeting. Bonus points! I made a good decision. I'm calling it now. You've done well, Foxley. Last time I saw you were struggling to keep up with your brother. Yes, well... The colonel clears his throat and the two men step apart. I doubt you have much trouble in doing so nowadays, eh? My brother's with the clergy now. A good man, then. You're most proud of him, yes. Though I do believe many of the girls from our county will be lamenting his absence. The happy, cheered spectator at the cupolas makes the previous unpleasant scene a distant memory. That is until Lord Stair begins loudly protesting Mr. Randall's continued presence at the picnic. I have never seen Lord Stair so riled. He barely shows enough emotion to against his wife. He still lives. It's doing a society swindler. An ember of interest flares through me, and I turn my full attention on the colonel as he continues. Society swindler, eh? Okay, probably for Black Panther. But yeah, society swindler, eh? He's been plaguing our streets since before the beginning of the season. Who is he? No one yet knows, though many are on the hunt for him. What is he doing exactly? He accosts good men and women in the streets at dark, demanding payment for safe passage. What horror to think such a thing happening. Indeed, it is most troubling. Though, thankfully, there's no sign of violence from the man. But just because there isn't violence doesn't mean it could ramp up to that. And it is most confounding. For whatever he sees from his victims, he simply ends up returning. He returns it? Not to the original owner, it seems he sends it on to someone else. There have many confrontations this season so far, where one person accuses the other of owning something of theirs. And of course, if that person simply returns the object to the rightful owner, they refute it and suddenly demand that it belongs to them. But why? Because they're too proud to admit otherwise. Well, this whole thing is most unusual. But highly entertaining. I can't remember the last time society had such interest. Okay, so let me get this straight. There's a dude that steals stuff. From society goers for exchange for safe passage. Then he kind of acts like a Robin Hood and passes it down to somebody else. And for it's the Robin Hood thing might not be a bad thing, considering that, from what I could tell, Steer and Randall are from different social stations. So in essence, he's giving it back. He's giving stuff over to the poorer station, and while the upper station is basically losing their cash and their belongings in the first place. But the fact that it's returned just makes it even more interesting. And that much more entertaining. I agree, Mr. Ainsbury. Anyway, you only say such because Swindler has not yet bothered you. Very true. I'm certain I should soon change my view should he prey upon me. I noticed Mr. Ainsbury... Wait a minute. Is he it? I wonder. Considering he loves changing like society views, but then he also could be that colonel or the captain from the military. But how would he get away long enough to do stuff like that? I wonder. Anyway, I noticed Ainsbury's gaze slammed my weight. What is his name besides Ainsbury? That's what I'm wondering. And I smiled beneath his attention before being pulled from it by Arabella speaking. That is enough of such talk. We're here to lighten good company, and that is what we shall do. Then may I suggest we move on to the Well of Blankets and continue with lighter topics there. The idea is well received, and we all moved to sit in a more comfortable location. After a few hours, a storm begins to settle. Ainsbury excuses himself and we have to do the same. I forget, it's much more northbound, so of course, they're gonna get dark a lot faster compared to here, anyway. Yet I cannot keep the smile from my face, unable to remember the last time I spent so long in such distracting company. Colonel Foxley kindly offers to escort us home, a suggestion, I note, Arabella is most keen on agreeing to. Of course she would. Are you enjoying your time in Bath, Colonel? More than I could have hoped. The two smile brightly at each other, and I slowly try to slow my steps as the pair walk ahead together. We continue on down the darkened street, an oil lamp at the end guiding our way. This could end in disaster. It is not far until we emerge back onto the main street. But our progress is stopped by a sudden voice echoing before us. Halt! A moment, if you would. Yes! I knew it! Wait a minute. I'm saving here. I stare at the man before us, his face cloaked in shadow and half hidden by a rather flamboyant dark hat. Ezoro? The glint of metal catches my eye and attends to the sight of what I assume is a pistol gripped in his hand. As the stranger approaches, the colonel steps out in front of us, his arms spread defensively. I knew it! I knew it was it! I said that earlier, didn't I? The dark-clothed man is quite effective at blocking in the narrow alleyway, apparently a practice he does often. That should be a dead giveaway, Elizabeth. Come on, I figured it out before you did. Move aside! I flinch at the strength of the colonel's tone, not expecting such a normally gentle man to be able to sound so assertive. The stranger merely laughs and continues to approach. It's this him! The society swindler! Arabella whispers to me in a rush, and I realize she must be right. No need of such defense, my good man. The swindler gestures to Foxley's stance, but the colonel doesn't move. I have no plans to cause harm, as long as everyone is agreeable to my terms. What do you want? What any thief wants. His heavily shadowed gaze passes behind the colonel, and I grasp at his focus lands on me. If you would. He gestures his gun at Foxley to move aside. The colonel stiffens. Come now. I promise no harm, but you must move. Arabella places her hand on Foxley's arm. It's alright, Colonel. Do not get yourself harmed on our account. But, Arabella... The swindler sees this distracted moment between the two, pressing his gun against the colonel and shovels to one side, taking Arabella along with him. My breath catches as the stranger comes to stand before me. I'm unsure why, but I don't feel as fearful as I know I should. That's because it's Amesbury! My lady? He greets me, his voice low and husky as he washes over me. His gaze flickers down to my arms. What a beautiful pair of gloves. His eyes move back up to meet mine. A fine payment. Okay, on the one hand, I get why he does this stuff, but on the other hand, what does he want with my gloves? The stick I understand, but what is up with that? But yeah, what chick could possibly want with a pair of women's gloves? That's one thing I'm wondering. I forced myself to half smile at the man. And what could a rogue like you want with a pair of women's gloves? He cocked his hand to one side, a teasing smile curling his lips. For a moment, a hint of recognition flickers over me, but it is gone as he speaks. Are you hoping to disarm me with such charm, my lady? Try a little harder and it may just work. Elizabeth, please hand the gloves over and let us leave in haste! Arabella's worried please pulled me from my surprise in this confident statement. I'm sure we would all prefer to put this behind us. So my payment, if you please. I frowned and reached down to pull the gloves off. My fingers fumbled with the edges of the gloves and let out a sharp breath. Allow me. Before I have a chance to respond, he moves his free hand to the top of my glove. His hands glance over the skin of my arm, and I swear I noticed him hesitate for just a moment. But then, he rolls the silk glove down with slow ease before sliding it from my fingers. He repeats the action with the other, and I find it a little difficult to breathe as his touch traces down my forearm. There is a gentle quiet that passes between us, and I find his attention focused more intently upon me than before. Have I scared you into silence? You wished for my gloves as payment, sir, not my conversation. And yet, now I wonder if I've been remiss to ask for only the gloves. You're most beautiful, my lady, and I believe your mind is even more so. Perhaps another time. He grasps the gloves in his hand, and gives a small smile to break through my surprise at his compliment. A most heartfelt appreciation, my lady. He takes a step away, his gaze passing over Arabella and the colonel huddled to one side. Enjoy your evening. And with that, he gives a polite tip at his hat before swinging up to the wall and being lost to the darkness. I stared at the spot where he had just been, only for my thoughts to be broken as Arabella grasped my arm tightly. Are you hurt? Elizabeth, are you unharmed? Her voice is strained, her eyes wide with worry. I'm quite fine. She still does not let go of my arm, and I'm unsure if it's more for her comfort or mine. I am. There are no apologies I can give for allowing you to be handled by that. Please, Colonel, do not fret. We're all safe now. That is what matters. Yes, it seems the swindler's reputation for lack of violence thankfully proves quite true. The man is a terror, no matter his manners. Please allow me to escort you home, then I shall speak to my colleagues about a search party. He begins to shuffle his onwards, but I can't help my gaze lingering on where the swindler had just been. It seems fright was at the cause of my racing heartbeat. The next day, Arabella had barely had breakfast before a gaggle of women come to call. It seems they heard of what happened and came to get a first-hand account of the event. Unsurprisingly, Foxley calls not long after. There was little chance to speak between the questions and excitement of our visitors. Instead, he stands to watch one side, his worried gaze passing regularly over Arabella, who is in her element amongst society's most noble of ladies. I do my best to keep up with the flurry, though when it drags into the afternoon, I think I need some rest. Unable to take the relentless barrage of questions any longer, I stand from my place and quietly move to the other side of the room. It wasn't my intention to offend the women, though. That seems to have been what happened. Arabella gives the women a polite smile, and they return to chattering amongst themselves. You look quite exhausted, Elizabeth. No, duh! If you were talking all day about the exact same thing, of course I'm going to be worn out. Rory clings to her words. It's just the company. It is just the company. They're rather overwhelming after years of barely being in company at all. I do forget you're not used to town ways quite yet. We share a quiet laugh. Maybe. Her words are cut short by Johnson shuffling into the room. Mr. Ainsbury. The room falls quiet as Mr. Ainsbury strides inside. He glances over the crowd before spying us in the corner. He tips his hat to the women. There's gotta be a confrontation at some point about his stealing habit. Good afternoon, ladies. Then he turns towards us, his smile more genuine. I hope I'm not intruding. Of course not, Mr. Amesbury. In fact, your timing is impeccable. She moves towards him, bringing me along with her, and then lowers her voice once again. I fear Elizabeth is a little overcome with so many guests. Maybe it would be best if she got some fresh air. I'll walk you to town, perhaps. That'd be most welcome. Then please, allow me. He steps forward and offers his arm, which I am more than happy to take. But, Arabella, I can't leave you to handle them alone. But I'm not alone. She glances behind her, to where Foxley stood like a sentry in one corner. I give a nod of understanding, before being happily led away by Mr. Amesbury. There are a few people in the center of town, and I'm thankful for the quiet and air. You're looking much brighter now, if you don't mind me saying so, Miss Devereux. I'm most pleased to be out of the attention of such overbearing company. I know how you feel. Though you and Lady Ashburn are the cause of today's most exciting topic. Genuine concern knots his brow, and he suddenly looks away from me as he speaks. Are you alright? I'm sure. I heard he didn't intend to harm upon you. Of course it wouldn't, because you were the one who was it! You're an actor. I really am quite fine. It was just a little perturbing is all. I'm not used to rogues prowling about. The only thing that terrorizes the countryside is someone's pigs getting loose. I imagine pigs are much easier to fend off than bandits. Both give a laugh and continue walking on. Thinking back on it, he seemed barely interested in stealing. I wonder, what would drive someone to do such a thing? Who knows the mind of any other person? I probably know my own at times. Perhaps he's simply bored with life. And that would lead to theft? He gives a shrug and raises his brows. It would certainly stave off the melancholy that could arise from such a humdrum existence. I pause and stare up at him, examining the small smile on his face and the brightness to his eyes as he speaks. I dare say, Mr. Ainsbury, you almost sound like you admire the swindler. Maybe I do in some way. Because you are the swindler, you swindler. Someone taking their life into their own hands and doing something daring with it. Should not even a small bit of that be inspiring? The memory of the masked man's touch against my arm sent the shiver coursing through me, but I push it forcefully from my thoughts to answer the clear head. And with that, I think I will end it here because I need to play 5v5 with my guild, and I'm overdue with that. So, thank you very much for enjoying this little playthrough with me of The Lady's Choice. Part 2 will be coming up tomorrow for Singles Day, so I hope you enjoy this. And maybe I'll go through the other endings too, just for the sake of having fun. But I'm gonna go enjoy chocolate and playing 5v5 of Vainglory. So that's also gonna be the topic of my next video after I get done with The Lady's Choice, which I think I'm almost done with. So anyway, whoa, try to sneeze. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Feel free to check out any of my socials right here and in the description, and I will see you next time. Farewell, everybody, and happy Valentine's Day.